across cultures, the dead are rarely sent away alone. Some are given coins for the ferryman. Some are buried with weapons, food, or treasure belongings. And some are given a horse. And when we think of horses in Chinese mythology, we often picture celestial steeds, like the dragon horse that rose from the Yellow River that inspired the I Ching, or the heavenly mounts of immortals. But there is another horse that few people talked about, one never ridden by the divine or living heroes. Its sacred purpose was to guide and protect souls on their final, perilous journey to the afterlife. But why a horse? Why not a dragon or a phoenix? Beings that seem more powerful and more symbolic of Chinese culture. That may feel true today, but in ancient China, the horse was more than a creature of flesh and spirit. It was a bridge between worlds. Horse worship was an important ritual practice in ancient China, with origins tracing back to the late Neolithic period. By the Zhou dynasty, these ceremonies have become formal state rituals, carefully codified, overseen by the emperor, and dedicated to deities through prayers honoring the sacred spirit of the horse. 4 times each year, this ritual sought blessings for good harvests and the well-being of horses, victory in battle, and harmony between the human and divine realms. And this tradition continued for nearly 3,000 years, lasting until the final days of the Qing dynasty, China's last imperial era. Even today, a horse spirit chamber still stands within the Forbidden City. In 1964, archaeologists in Shandong province uncovered the tomb of Qi Jinggong, a powerful ruler of the state of Qi in the 6th to 5th century BCE. Though the tomb itself remains only partially excavated, 3 surrounding pits reveal the skeletons of an estimated 600 horses, arranged in perfect rows. Decades later, in 2017, at Yaoheyuan, in the foothills of the Liupan Mountains, archaeologists discover 6 sacrificial pits containing the remains of 120 horses from the early Western Zhou period. Though smaller in number, these horses were centuries older, sacrificed to serve their lord in the afterlife. But why so many horses? Ancient burial sites of nobles and kings often share something in common. They are displays of power and wealth, but also reflections of a fear we all carry. The fear of what comes after. Death was not seen as an end, but a continuation. The ancient principle of 视死如视生, to serve the dead as one serves the living, is an attitude of treating the deceased with the same care, respect, and sincerity through proper funerals and ongoing rites. This practice persisted across all levels of society throughout Chinese history. For nobilities burial became the ultimate statement of status, and tombs filled with luxuries, everyday objects, and figurines of houses, animals, and servants to sustain their lifestyle in the afterlife. But the journey to the realm of the dead required transportation, and that's where the horses come in. In traditional Chinese cosmology, all things arise from a dynamic balance of yin and yang. The afterlife belongs to the realm of yin, a place of shadow and stillness. The soul must travel along Huangquan Lu, the Yellow Springs Road, a long and dangerous path for a soul that has just left the body. The horse, however, represents yang. In the Chinese zodiac, it corresponds to Wu, the hour at noon, when the sun is at its peak and gives off strong, fiery yang energy. This powerful force was thought to help and protect the yin soul as he moves through the dark underworld. Ancient Chinese belief also regarded a horse as a spiritual mediator between heaven and earth. There could be no better companion than to guide the soul on its final and dangerous journey. But pairing a real horse was never possible for everyone. For centuries, only the elite could afford such sacrifices. Over time, especially by the Han Dynasty, live burial gradually shifted to ceramic models. But this was still luxury items that only the wealthy could afford to make. It seemed that even in the afterlife, the gap between the rich and poor remained. Then came an invention that would change everything. During the Eastern Han Dynasty, around 105 CE, a court official named Cai Lun perfecting the art of papermaking. This breakthrough not only improved writing and record keeping, but also transformed the way people honor their dead. And by the Tang Dynasty, families began burning symbolic paper money, known as Zhou paper, as offerings to loved ones in the afterlife. By the Northern Song Dynasty, as paper became widely accessible, this practice blossomed into a distinctive folk art, transforming what had once been an elite ritual into something far more inclusive. And that is the art of Zhizha. Zhizha, meaning paper binding, is a traditional craft of creating ritual paper effigies. Artisans construct frameworks from split bamboo or lightwood, bind them with thread, and layer them with colored or printed paper to create symbolic offerings. It is closely tied to Taoist and folk religious practices, used not only in funerals, but also during festivals such as Qingming and the Ghost Festival to honor ancestors or paying respect to gods. And the craft also includes decorative paper constructions like ceremonial gates, spirit tents, opera stages, and even entire shop facades. And families commission paper model that tailor to the deceased's life and wishes. This includes houses, furniture, servants, and most importantly, horses. And these paper horses are often life-sized, with flowing manes and painted saddles and expressive eyes. But unlike the horses found in ancient tombs, these effigies are not buried. They are usually part of the funeral scene of procession, traveling with the coffin to the burial or cremation site. And once the final rites are completed, these paper effigies are gathered and burned. The fire is believed to send their essence to the spirit world, allowing the deceased to use these items in the afterlife. Just imagine an extensive postal service network in the other realm. Pretty fascinating. In many ways, paper makes spiritual traditions more accessible. Zhizha makes your loved ones will not journey alone into the unknown, because the horse was no longer a privilege of the rich. It belonged to everyone. More than 1,000 years later, this tradition is still very much alive and has spread far beyond mainland China. Walk through traditional neighborhoods in Taiwan, Hong Kong, Malaysia, or Chinatowns around the world, and you will still find paper craft shops filled with beautifully made offerings. Families and communities continue these rituals for funerals and festivals, though the offerings have taken on a modern twist. And paper effigies of game consoles, designer goods, smartphones, even luxury cars. But those who remember the old ways still commission a horse to accompany the departed on their final journey to wherever the dead go when the living can no longer follow. But why do people still carry out this ritual in an age of science and technology? Do these gifts really reach the other side? Many ancient traditions survive, not because we're certain of the outcome, but because they carry memory and hope across generations. In that sense, they may matter more to the living than to the dead. Zhizha is one such tradition. Through flame and ash, people express love, grief, regret, and whisper the unfinished farewells. A mother sends her paper iPhone to her departed child, something the child longed for, but she was never able to give. A daughter who regrets not spending more time with her father while he was still alive sends every comfort and luxury she can imagine. In doing so, perhaps we find the courage to ask for forgiveness, and to finish what was left undone, and to make peace at last. And just as we make a wish upon seeing a shooting star, thinking, just in case it works, some continue to send offerings through the flames, wondering, what if it helps? If the flames could carry one last gift, what would you send?